for June 6th. Check audio earlier today. They've been hacking me for almost an hour, trying to stop me from saying this. Don't fall for any setup bets. This has nothing to do with a bet. If they set up a bet, it's betting impersonation, betting manipulation. Don't fall for a frame. But I was trying to break down their hydra for you. So they got different arms of the hydra. They got guys manipulating bets. Even their betting manipulators have lower subgroups. They got betting manipulators, right? So the betting manipulators are these scientists who use the implantation jazz. They're also these therapists who use the implantation jazz, and they all use this neuromodulation and different implantable devices for betting manipulation. The satellite operators are betting manipulators. The New Age investigators who use the implantable devices are betting manipulators. What else is there? I was telling my dad in the car yesterday, but I've been breaking this down over the 6 years and 7 months. Even the investigators are the betting manipulators. They either lie as a herd or they also use the tech in investigations, but they're really just manipulating bets. So those are betting manipulators. The scientists pretend they're performing science and research, but they're really just committing assault, manipulating bets. They don't even know how to do research, so those are some betting manipulators. The people who operate the satellites who use my coordinate are key betting manipulators. How many other components of their betting manipulation arm of the hydra are there? They also got these people they call mind melders, who use the tech and they pretend they're fighting a war but use the war tech for betting manipulation. So there's different components of their betting manipulation arm of the hydra. So then they also got people, there's also movie people pretending to make a movie, and they tell people they're making a movie, but then they take that movie and then present it to some betting manipulation commissions, and then I guess frame people for betting manipulation. And this is a component of their financing, as they frame people for betting manipulation, hand time, and then use this covert community of lunatics, hackers, telecommunications terrorists, and implantations terrorists to then rob people because they're framed for betting manipulation when they didn't manipulate anything in some cases. And that's how they're taking over people's bank accounts and property. They're just framing people with fake videos for betting manipulation. Then they take their movies, or they trick people into a movie and they frame them for their crimes or whatever they're doing. Take their movie that people think is a movie, but it's really going to be misrepresented to some betting ring commission or betting or gambler commission as betting manipulation, and that's how they frame people or catch people too. And then they are then taking over people's properties, homes, bank accounts, using implantation, using with synthetic telepathy to steal passwords and things of that nature. They're using telecommunications terrorists, hackers, rerouting two-factor, breaking into emails, accounts, and that's another way they're trying to pull their financial crimes. So they frame people for betting manipulation and then use their covert community of these implantation terrorists, confidence men, financial crimes, criminals, telecommunications guys, hackers, and other shitbags. And then they steal people's money from banks, try to sell their homes, bet their homes, all this. And that's a component of their hydra, and that's also a financial arm of the hydra. As their organized crime terrorist organization is a hydra, there's multiple heads with a body, arms, legs, tail, etc. So another component of this hydra is the betting manipulators are also murderers and killers, and try to not just manipulate bets, but they're also like a form of muscle, and they try to abuse people into compliance, make threats, things of that nature. So that's another role of these betting manipulators too. They also pretend to be law enforcement and use competence men tactics, use novel tech to up credibility. So those are some of their tactics as well. They got little other people running distractions. They got their illegal gambling as another financial arm. That's where the betting manipulators come in. They also have various financial crimes. They have fake investments like the New Age investigators, investments in telepathy, investments in implantation, investments in New Age court systems. They steal my intellectual property and sell it, and that's another component of financing. They have content rings. They have finance. They sell movie roles and parts for financing terrorism and organized crime, slavery, sexual slavery, illegal weapons manufacturing and distribution. They also use their experiments not only for betting manipulation, but they also use them for financial crimes and sell fake experiments to people. They also use their experiments for data theft. They also use their experiments for slander campaigns and manufacture fake data to slander people, such as manufactured neurophysiological cues, manufactured mind outputs, manufactured telepathy. They also use them for frames. They use their betting rings for frames. They use their betting rings for threats and fear campaigns. They use their betting rings for theft, violence, assault. So that's another component of the financial arms, threats, and intimidation. So these are other components of the hydra. What are some other key components of the hydra? So you got your betting manipulators, you got your gamblers, you got different financial crimes, you got a bunch of illegal investments, you got hand tires. So there's people knowingly recruiting people to illegal investments in stolen property, then they're tying the hands. They got people recruiting people to their illegal gambling rings, catching them doing illegal bets. So they're knowingly recruiting them to these illegal bets. Then they, wait for them to like do a satellite weapons bet, like a break the barrier bet, and they catch them. Or someone that they don't know is on their team shows up and catches them. They're like, oh, we got caught. But they were the ones who set you up. So that's a hand tire. They use illegal investments for hand tying. They use seduction of women. They have this army of women, I guess, who like offer sex or something. I don't know what they're doing. I hear stories, but those are part of the hand tires. And they're also some of the key people murdering key witnesses related to what I'm a victim of. Some. And they're also used for hand tying. And then some of them even use them for a source of finance, is what I'm hearing. What else is there? Then they got their telecommunications terrorists and cyber terrorists for performing financial crimes, threats, aiding them in other financial crimes, other illegal agendas, aiding them in betting manipulation. So those are some other components of the hydra. Then they have corrupt people that they bribe, blackmail, etc. And those guys are face guys. Those guys help promote their technology. Those guys help keep their faces clean. Those guys pull strings. Those guys are their spokespeople and defend key terrorists, key rapists, murderers, and pedophiles, and defend them. And they just blackmail them to lie for them. So that's a key piece of this. And these guys sign off on them and help them steal intellectual property from me. So look for those guys. Those guys are key people involved with this terrorist financing and financing of this hydra. They also use them for their contacts and resources, such as illegal weapons manufacturers and distributors, things of that nature. Use them for engineers, scientists, what have you. So that's a piece of this. What else do they got in the hydra? They got satellite operators. They don't just use them for betting manipulation and implantation terrorism. They use them to make people know their place, abuse into compliance. They use them to give people cancer covertly. They use their satellite weapons for bets. So the satellite operators are betting manipulators, a source of financing, and another form of their threats and intimidation for terrorism. So they're used to intimidate and coerce civilian population. So that's another component of the hydra. And they play a terrorist arm, a financial arm, a betting manipulation arm, which is another financial arm. They also play a muscle arm within the hydra. So some of these guys have various roles as an arm, so it's like a satellite operator isn't just a betting manipulator. He's also an implantation guy, a threat guy, a muscle guy. He's also a key terrorist. So those are some of the things. So a betting manipulator is not just a betting manipulator, it's different roles. Satellite operator is not just a betting manipulator. Satellite operator, he serves other functions too, such as threats and intimidation. They also have their witness tampering arms with the implantable devices and the new age neurosurgery. So that's another component of the hydra. So they have these guys who implant implantable devices. They disrupt your memory. They disrupt reason, logic, processing. Right now they're probably using some tech on me while I'm talking, which they are. They also do these new age neurosurgeries that destroy people's brains covertly. So that's a witness tampering arm. They also have people who are drugging people for witness tampering. So they're basically trying to kill witnesses who know what I'm a victim of. It has to do with some Illuminati president jazz, some Illuminati world, IP theft, data theft. It has to do with economic espionage, betting manipulation, slavery, and sexual slavery of disabled people. It's got a lot to do with a lot of things. Sexual violence of disabled people for rich people entertainment. They're involved with this ritualistic community, sexual violence. And it's a community of lunatics who get together and sexually assault and abuse disabled people for entertainment. They run genital mutilation rings and then try to murder them to cover it up for bets. Try to make them look psychotic for bets. It's some really sick shit. These guys are real life sickos. They also have other arms involved with the implantation, the new age investigators. They're also discreditors. So these are other forms of witness tampers. They try to make people look psychotic. So they'll implant them, make it look like they have auditory hallucinations. They'll neuromodulate them, make them look bipolar. They have all sorts of tactics with this implantation and implantable devices for witness tampering. They also use these guys with the implantable devices and implantation and telepathy to discredit legal, political, and financial opponents. So that's another component of the hydra. That's just another arm. Then they have infiltration arms that face people, and they have string pullers who try to introduce people to heads of businesses, heads in the government, try to get them a job, but they're really a mole and an infiltrator. They may have them implanted. They may give them special technology to slip on the system, compromise the system. So there's infiltration arms of this hydra. There's little mole people who have already infiltrated and they pull strings from within, whether giving access to info or making info more accessible, things of that nature. What else? And then there's the heads of the Hydra who are giving out orders, using their network, using their finance, using their access to information to aid the body. So they do things like that. They're spokespersons for the body. They pull strings for the body. They get guys out of prison, get them out of jail, get innocent people framed for their rapists, pedophiles, and terrorists that work for them, crimes. So that's a piece of this. And human rights and civil rights violators and guys involved with highly illegal, unethical, and inhumane human experimentation. They have all sorts of illegal experiments they're running. Human programming experiments. There are human programmers who are another arm of this, and the human programmers serve different roles. They're betting manipulators. They're IP thieves. They steal via synthetic telepathy. They're espionage guys stealing information for blackmail and hand tying. They're also muscle. They use their human programming tech for abuse, covert violence, etc. What else do they do? And then they're also even trying to find ways to rape mankind of their free will. They're not there yet. They can try to abuse you into compliance, but they can't take over your consciousness yet. But it could get there as long as people keep lying for these people and help them, manipulate bets, steal intellectual property, etc., and help them keep acquiring finance and more finance and research. So we could get there, or these terrorists could get there, and because there's morons who want to fit in with psychopaths and guys who are Hitler-esque entities. No one's reporting them because they're too busy, being blinded by Benjamin, trying to fit in with guys who abuse human life for entertainment, trying to fit in with real-life psychopaths, sex offenders, sexual abusers, human rights and civil rights violators, guys financing rapists, pedophiles, murderers, terrorists, organized crime, criminals, financing people with no respect for human life, financing guys who just hate human beings, financing anti-humans, financing dehumanizers, slander platforms, propaganda platforms, which is another arm of the Hydra. They also have these propaganda machines. So they use the propaganda machines as another component of the Hydra. That's a part of the body. So they got these guys running dehumanization campaigns and slander campaigns to discredit legal, political, and financial opponents. So that's another piece of this. They also use their propaganda machines to try to orchestrate frames. So that's another piece. Then they got a technological arm of the Hydra. Some of these guys are involved with computers. Some are involved with quantum computers, telecommunications, implantations. There's a lot of engineers making weapons. They got all sorts of hustles. So there's a technological arm of this Hydra. That's who they go to get tech made. Some of these guys have no ethics, which is key because they're actually putting weapons and technology in the hands of people who are more than mentally disturbed, guys who, rape disabled people for entertainment or perform rape-like violence, and they actually see this and they don't think these guys are mentally disturbed. So these guys have no ethics as well. They got scientists and doctors to help them learn more about human programming, implantation, and these guys are playing a role in the Hydra. It's a bunch of doctors and scientists with no ethics at all, key point. Literally none. I mean, they're actually watching. They actually know these guys murder disabled people for entertainment, and they watch some of these guys. Some guys may be saying, fuck these guys, so you're cool. But the guys who, will do anything for money, you suck. Yeah, fuck. And then they have this army of people who will do anything for money. They'll even rape disabled people for entertainment and become professional sex offenders, sexual oppressors, sexual abusers for money. So there's a lot of people who suck involved with this too, who will do anything for money. They'd even kill their own mother. So that's another arm, the people who suck and will do anything for money. So that's another component of the Hydra. And then they got a bunch of corrupt guys. So they got an army of corrupt people in America and outside the globe who will do anything for money. Some of them are blackmailed and wooden boys. And those guys are string pullers. There's some corrupt law enforcement involved in the Hydra. And those guys help pull strings too. They steal information. They blackmail internally. They threaten internally. They control investigations. They control information to higher ups, DNI, control information to the president, control information to the UN. So those are some of the guys in the Hydra. That's why they use them. So they use some corrupt people and law enforcement and politicians to control information to higher ups, act like things are all good, things died down. It's not his property, we're not stealing it, kind of shit, but they're lying through their fucking teeth because they're fucking Satan and trying to endanger mankind with no respect for human life. Yeah, so that's a piece of this too. A lot of corrupt motherfuckers with no respect for human life, disguising themselves as freedom fighters or altruistic or greater good, pulling repackaging hustles, as they call them. So there's some of those guys. Then there's a psychological tactic arm of the Hydra, and they're pulling all these different psychological tactics, such as egging, distraction hustles, taking up mental real estate, with bullshit. So they have a lot of these guys doing this. So they have little guys doing psychology for the hydra. I don't know how many heads are in the hydra, but there's a lot, I think. Then they got other people running bets, and their betting rings are a key tool of the hydra. They use for hand tying. They use it, for instance, at party bets and pull people into bets for parties after party. But at these parties, they're drugging people, implanting people, blackmailing people, hand tying people. So that's a piece of this. So they use different bets, and their betting ring serves different agendas. So that's a key piece of their gambling ring. So their betting rings serve different agendas, like this anything you can do, I can do bet. That's a tool for hand tying. So like they'll see me, they'll make up stories about me like, oh, he's a mind melder. And then these people tied to this anything you can do, I can do bet will then have to become a mind melder, I guess. But I was never a mind melder. So they control information like that to then try to pull people into stuff. So that's one of their tactics. They have party bets, and then people are tied to these party bets. So they got to party or do something. And then they're using these parties for hand tying, drugging, witness tampering, and God knows what the fuck else. Also for networking, because they also use it to build a social network to accrue more investors for more terrorist financing and financing of this hydra. So that's another component of it. So they use the betting ring for various agendas. They use the betting ring to prevent law enforcement from getting involved. They use the betting ring for hand tying. Even the nature of the bets serve agendas. I also know all their bets. I know there's some party bet, anything you can do, I can do bet. They've got other bets. So whenever you look at their bets, analyze what agendas these bets are serving. That's essential to analysis. So all their bets aren't just bets. There's more to their bets. Programming bets, see, like their programming bets, for example, they're trying to make programming look real because they're trying to help people get off the hook for financial crimes with human programming. They're also trying to help rapists, pedophiles, COVID disseminators, and others get off the hook. So their programming bets aren't just programming bets for finance. They're also serving an agenda, like, for example, to get people off the hook. So look through all their bets and then see what agenda a lot of these bets are serving. They may make bets on me, but it's for witness tampering, for example. They may make a hacker bet, and I'm not even a hacker, and I never accepted or played such, but they're saying it's a hacker bet, but the hidden agenda is to hack my computer, steal IP, tamper with data, perform witness tampering, and technological threats. So that's essential to analysis, is looking at their bets and their betting rings, and then see what their bets, what hidden agendas are these bets really serving. So that's essential. So this is a breakdown of the hydra. It's an terrorist organization with a body, legs, arms, tail, and then has multiple heads. And this is just some of it. I haven't broke it all down, but this is a pretty good breakdown for you. I could do it better. Right now they're probably using tech on me, so I'm not compartmentalized. And they use something on my brain they call to block compartmentalizing, as they call it. So they're using witness tampering tech right now. But this is some key stuff. This is a key initiator. I've broken it down before in some of my documents. But I'd look into it and maybe the stuff I'm saying, organize it, write it down, and then it'll be more clear to you. I don't prepare. I just kind of speak from the mind. But, take this video and get a piece of paper and draw these different things, and then, make a map, and then you'll be able to see the head of the hydra. There's people from Connecticut involved, Dallas, Dubai, California, Houston, Woodlands, Austin, New York, maybe Kentucky, no telling, maybe China. There's no telling how many guys are involved with this. Remember, I went to St. George University. That's a global school. There's some IMG people involved with this. That's a global school. A lot of rich kids who want to become athletes. They got a lot of contacts and global contacts. There's supposedly some famous people involved with this. They got a lot of contacts. Remember, there's a lot of people who've been pretending my life is theirs and recruiting people to some war or some take over the world experiment or some bullshit. And they all got caught being frauds, but before they're frauds, they're recruiting people to something, some take over the world bet or experiment. So there's a lot of army of frauds, and they were all recruiting people within their community over time. Some were famous people, some were rich people. So there's all sorts of people in this global terrorist agenda, and all sorts of people involved with this data theft, this oppression, this abuse, this raping of mankind, free will, this slavery ring, this sexual slavery ring, their RICO, etc., etc. So I take this information, make a map, and draw it, and you'll start to see how the hydra's working and all the inner workings. But a key thing is these guys' bets aren't just bets. They serve hidden agendas. They also use their bets for frames. So, for example, at one point in time, they were pretending like I was a mind melder, and they'd be like, oh, we won that bet, so he's a mind melder. I could do X, Y, and Z. But what they're really doing is they were trying to orchestrate a criminal profile, and using their betting, they were lying to people. Their hidden agenda was, oh, we're giving them fame, but they really weren't giving me fame. They were trying to orchestrate a frame. And what they were doing was pretending I'm winning bets and then giving me character attributes that I didn't have. And they were trying to give me these character attributes to make it look like I fulfilled some criminal profile I didn't. And that was a piece of their gambling ring and their fame, which was really a frame. And they were trying to frame me for something. Maybe these bank heists in New York and around the world that I've been hearing about, which is a piece of that too. So their betting rings and their bets have hidden agendas. This is essential. So you need to not just look at the bets and how illegal they are, you need to also ponder what agendas these bets are serving, because those are a key tool they're using in their global terrorist agenda, their bets and the nature of them. So you need to look beyond the surface and look for the hidden agendas. Praise Jesus, man.